just keep on talking. It sounds good.
Okay. Is the 90s night like all Disney afternoon and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched a lot of it on YouTube, and because that was the one after dark party that Disney was holding that I really wanted to go to.
that would have been cool. I just had to know, like, when are they going to bring back gargoyles? I love gargoyles.
I thought that they would have added that into the mix up there.
Yeah. Maybe
'Cause
it's
that
too
was
dark.
I don't know. I loved gargoyles. I'm a '90s kid.
Yeah, me too. It was like a precursor to the Batman animated series, and
Yeah.
it kind of set the stage for like darker animated shows in the afternoon, and then Batman took over, and maybe people forgot about gargoyles, or maybe gargoyles went like in a weird direction, but I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, like anything of the '90s. I mean, Jay and I were talking about this last week when we were talking about Disney Plus and everything. Like even the Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules television shows.
Yeah.
That were on the Disney Channel at the time.
And they were great shows. Like, those should be brought back to Disney Plus, hopefully.
Oh, if we can only have, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Speaking of Disney Plus, like at the D23 Expo, they're gonna do something pretty big on Disney Plus, if not its own panel.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So do you want me to just talk about real quick, like overview of what's gonna happen at this expo?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, passengers, yes, we are here. We were having a nice little conversation. Sorry to keep you out of the mix, but Bellhop George here, and joining me is today Jungle Skipper Jay.
Aloha, George. How you doing?
Doing good. And we're both here on a special detour with our with a good friend Christian, who, if you don't know, has a plethora of Disney knowledge when it comes to the biannual D23 Expo that's held at Anaheim, California. Hi, Christian. How you doing?
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
We're glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about like what got you into making YouTube videos like solely for the D23 Expo, and like what a lot of people can expect from it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, what got me into that, I've been going to conventions. I'm a huge nerd in general, but since I was like 13, I went to conventions, comic conventions, Disney, any kind of Disneyana conventions. And what I noticed is things like Comic-Con get a lot of coverage with like tips and tricks, and a lot of YouTube makers actually go in and go break it down for Comic-Con, but no one does it for D23, and I didn't know why that was. So maybe it has something to do with like, you know, the competitive landscape that's developed at D23. So I started to make this channel and just helping people out, introduce people to certain things about the expo. And I started with lines, doing videos on lines specifically and about specific panels, like live action, animation, parks and resorts, like we talked about, and the Legends panel, which recently got announced. And people really like that breakdown because I tell people exactly where to be at exactly what time. And it kind of led into this whole spiral on, you know, people, and I get to talk with people like you. And at the D23 Expo, people say, you got to keep making videos. The people that don't like, some people do not like my channel. And those people are people that are kind of are in the know and like know exactly how things work. And they don't want everyone else to know, unfortunately.
They don't want you spilling secrets.
Yeah. So, but it's fine. I mean, I committed to making this channel to no BS. Just, you know, I don't gloss over anything. If there's something really, really impactful that is going to happen, and that any changes that are happening, I want people to know about it. Like, for example, one of the changes I think that's going to take place at this next D23 2019, that's different from other D23s, is because of the success of FastPass and StorePass, I think they're going to turn into kind of a virtual queue system now, where it's all digital. But more to come on that. But when those updates come, I really wanted people to know about that right away. So nothing, there's no sparkly marketing material. I don't work for Disney. I don't have any kind of vested interest in it. I just wanted to help people because it made me, very satisfied to hear that people and their families had a really good experience.
You know what I really like about your videos is you really try to help people make the most of Disney. I was watching your video today on parking tips for the opening of Galaxy's Edge, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about that.
Yeah, and exactly right. Like, so what I do to that point, like, I'll talk to a lot of cast members, and I'll kind of ask them to tell me things that isn't generally known to the public or is about to be made public. So to give people an actual, because if you work for Disney, there's certain things you can't say until it's official. But I feel like they keep a lot of information on hold to almost the very last minute. Like right now, if you watch the Know Before You Go videos on Galaxy's Edge, they'll spring information like, oh, by the way, parking's going to be available at 12 p.m. midnight or 12 midnight, right? And it got everyone all confused because they're like, okay, so how does that work? Like, if lineups don't begin until like right before 8 a.m., where am I going to go from midnight to 8 a.m.? And that confused a lot of people. So I wanted to tell people, okay, so this is how it's really going to work based on what I've spoken to cast members about. So I'm glad that helped, Jay. Yeah.
No, it did. You broke it down exactly where to go, how to go. And like I said, I haven't heard anyone else talk about just parking for day of that big event.
Yeah. It's like, just to kind of sidetrack a little bit. Galaxy's Edge. Are you guys going to Galaxy's Edge, by the way?
In August.
In August.
In August. Okay. Are you guys on the East Coast?
I am.
Okay.
I live in the
Very cool. So you guys will have the luxury of seeing the crazy guinea pig like that the West Coast will have to like kind of go through, not knowing what to do. Like, but I mean, there are going to be overnight lineups. I mean, there are going to be some crazy things, and I will do some specials on that specifically. But Galaxy's Edge is going to be an interesting experience.
Another one of your videos, you let everyone know about, you have to go in together or someone's getting left behind.
Yeah, it's like a all or nothing thing. Like I have some friends going with me to Galaxy's Edge, so I'm going to be there at 8 a.m. On opening morning. And one of the complications is like if anyone sleeps in, they're not going to let them in after they wake up and decide, oh yeah, I've had breakfast, can I get in now? No, you have to get in with whoever made the reservation, which is completely different from like D23 or Comic-Con or anything. Yeah, I mean, basically, as long as you have a ticket, you can get in. So Galaxy's Edge is going to be quite an ordeal. And they set up a whole like convenient, quote unquote, cast member station outside of Galaxy's Edge to help answer all the the routine questions like, do I need a reservation? How do I get a reservation? Where do I park? And yada yada. So luckily D23 has enough people, enough history to go off to to kind of sidestep those landmines. But I wanted to just talk about real quickly in D23 2019 what people can be really excited about, because I know the videos, they talk about like speculation, but we have enough information to be like, okay, if you haven't bought a ticket, you have to buy a ticket because of these reasons. Can I do that?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So at the end of this year, we got Frozen 2, which a lot of fans are really excited about. It's going to happen in end of November, December-ish timeframe? Something like that.
Ish.
Yeah. We got a Star Wars Episode 9, which at the last D23, they had all the actors come on stage, which was fantastic. So I think everyone's going to come out to see, Mark Hamill possibly again. They're going to see, the Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, everybody pretty much on stage. What I think as part of the whole Star Wars push, again, with Disney Plus. They're going to have Mandalorian. They're going to have Jon Favreau talk about the Mandalorian and all the different Star Wars episodes that are going to be on Disney Plus. So if they're going to do that in the live action, they may have another panel specifically for anything Disney Plus. And they're going to probably have James Cameron come on stage and talk about Avatar. We have 4 Avatar movies coming up, which I don't know if that's really necessary, but I mean, they have to have James Cameron talk about it because people kind of have forgotten about that franchise unless they go to the parks.
Well, can I ask you, because this actually came into my mind several weeks ago when Endgame had come out and everyone was flooding to say, okay, Endgame has to dethrone Avatar at the box office. Marvel has to beat Avatar. And with that said, do you think that Avatar would have a strong impact coming forth now that actually people want to dethrone it? And so, because I do know that they just announced that they're starting the live-action filming of the sequel itself. Like, they did all the digital stuff. Now they're actually into the live-action part with the actors that they're going to start filming. So, as far as, do you think that would give it, a lot of hype for people to actually wait in line for the live-action panel? Because I know from the last one, people... I don't know the exact time, but I've heard that for the live-action panel at the last expo, that at, 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., that it was completely blocked off.
Yeah, 4 a.m. was when they closed it off, for sure. And look, back to your question about the impact of Avatar. If there's one thing I've learned in my years of fandom, is you never underestimate James Cameron, ever. No matter when we think, oh, it's not going to be great, somehow he does something unique and something special to take storytelling to another level. And we haven't heard anything about Avatar, the sequel's coming up, but there's got to be a reason why he's doing this. He has enough cash. He's seen the Marvel universe. He's got something up his sleeve, and he's not going to give away all his chips at D23. But you can bet James Cameron isn't someone to be trifled with, for lack of a better word. So I'll be honest with you. I thought Endgame was light years above Avatar, but maybe it was so long ago that I saw it. But so my favor is toward Marvel and Endgame, but I think something's going to happen at this next expo with Avatar that I think is going to blow everyone's socks off. Just my opinion.
I can agree with that because I think that's why Cameron waited so long.
Yeah. Because
he said that he even wanted even more better technology to use than what he did with the first one.
Right. Because it's got to be good.
He wrote the screenplay for Avatar, the original screenplay, I think in '95, and he waited almost 15 years before knowing when the technology would come out to use it.
Well, he's someone who pretty much for the last 20 years can do whatever he wants. So for him to come back and go, I'm going to do 3 more of these, you're right. He must have something up his sleeve. I want to put a flag in Endgame because I want to ask you about Endgame at the end.
Sure. But speaking of Marvel and all that good stuff, I mean, with 2019, obviously we have the integration of Fox IP and Marvel, Mutants, X-Men. Kevin Feige said he's going to discuss it after Spider-Man, the sequel, comes out. And I don't think he's going to spill all his secrets at the next Comic-Con in July. I think they're going to wait a little bit until D23, and they're going to talk about the integration of the universe, whether that be New Mutants coming out next year or through the Marvel Land coming to California Adventures. He's going to segue into that somehow. But because the Legends panel was announced that Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau are going to be the Legends, Marvel is going to have a big impact at this expo, and they're going to find a way to feather in the Fox IP somehow.
And I think, honestly, that's what a lot of people pretty much aren't expecting, because being that Endgame had come out before this expo, they're going to think, oh, the Marvel hype is going to, be diluted a bit at the expo. But I think even more, I think it's going to be even higher.
Yeah. Yeah. At the last expo, did you guys see how crazy the Marvel Pavilion got? The Marvel Pavilion on the show floor?
Yes.
That it was probably the most attended booth out of all the little pavilions. I mean, the animation pavilion was also really, really heavily attended, but I mean, people waited overnight to get the autographs from the Marvel cast. So Chadwick Boseman and Josh Brolin gave autographs at the Marvel Pavilion, and people stayed 24 hours plus in advance and still didn't get the autographs.
Do you think Marvel is going to take both a victory lap this year and let people know we're not done yet? We've got a long way to go.
Well, by victory lap, you mean like just hold off on any kind of just like rah-rah about the past 10 years or something?
Yeah. Look what we did this year and look what we've done the last 10 years.
Maybe. You might be right. If only to kind of take a back seat to the other properties, because it's Star Wars is kind of seen like taking a back seat to a lot of the stuff that's happened in Marvel. But and I know, and Kevin Feige is the type of person to take his time. He's not the kind of person to just jump in and say, oh, let's just do this for the sake of show. He likes to take his time and likes to release things as it makes sense to the story. And he wants to build a good foundation. He's not going to rush into anything. So I think you might be right. I think they might just talk about their accomplishments, because when I look at the calendar for upcoming Marvel films, the next one that really comes out is New Mutants in actually Dark Phoenix, but that's before the expo. But after that, it's New Mutants, which comes out in 2020. And then an untitled Marvel film that comes out in May of 2020. Who knows? I think it'll be something Fantastic Four related. But they really need to lay a good foundation. And I think the expo would be a little bit too soon for that. What do you guys think?
I have to agree. That flag I said about Endgame was your video where you said the mutants might come about because of the snap at Endgame. And I was thinking the same thing, where I love the X-Men. They're my Marvel corner. They're my corner of the Marvel universe, but I think like they need at least 5 years before they bring the X-Men in. Do the Fantastic Four first.
Yeah. So in that video I said that the gamma radiation from the multiple, not one, but multiple snaps, they made a point of saying that in the movie, in Endgame, saying that the nature of that explosion, more than any other energy signature that has happened, is gamma in nature. And there was a little Easter egg that I pointed to where it shows the counter for how many megatons that blast was. And I forgot the number, but it was like 50 million megatons or something like that. And that's got to have an effect. That's got to have an effect on what happens to people, like biologically. It affected Bruce Banner. There's got to have some effect. The other way they could go is there was a point in Ant-Man and the Wasp where Sonny Birch talked about his benefactors, which he didn't mention by name, but that's interested in technology, that has deep pockets, and specifically wants to go after Hank Pym's tunnel. The only other Marvel Universe villain that has fulfilled those three criteria is Doctor Doom. And I think Kevin Feige wanted to allude to him, but they didn't have full rights yet. But they wanted to set that groundwork for Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. That's why I think Fantastic Four is the most likely segue into the Fox IP, or some kind of mutant iteration from Endgame.
So do you think Doctor Doom is going to be the new Thanos, so to speak?
some people say Doctor Doom. Some people say the Mandarin. Some people say it's someone like one of the Celestials. I really don't know. I can't speculate on that. I think Doctor Doom is big enough, but if what we've learned is if they're introduced early as a major villain, then they're not the long-standing villain. They have to be teased, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would love it to be Doctor Doom because he he always thinks he's doing the right thing.
Right.
He's very he does what he does thinking he's the good guy, and
Yep.
that always makes a great villain.
Yep. Yep.
But my
And
problem with Marvel has been all the villains have been like tissue, use once, throw away. So I'd like to see like Magneto not be a villain, but be on both sides and go forward, not just use him once, toss him like Red Skull.
yeah, exactly. And people have been throwing around Secret Wars as the big, ultimate next phase conclusion. Like everything's going to lead into Secret Wars, which would make sense considering all the new kind of mutants and different X-Men properties that'll be coming into the forefront. So I don't know. We'll see. I think they're not going to talk a lot about at D23, but they will touch on some things to tease us. But I think a lot of it's going to be in the form of like kind of feathering in characters within the existing storylines in the next Doctor Strange movie, in the next Captain Marvel sequel, in the third Spider-Man movie. They're going to start to introduce like the characters in those movies, maybe in an after credit scene or something. But I remember at the last expo, they really sandbagged us at the live action panel. They basically said, okay, we're going to show you some footage about the past 10 years of Marvel. And Joe Russo introduced it. All the actors were on stage. None of them had seen it before. The lights went dim. And they started off with like celebrating the last 10 years. And then it rolled into this new footage. And you could hear an audible gasp out of everybody in the audience, meaning like, we have not seen this before. What the hell is this? And it was a whole scene about, the Asgardians of the galaxy finding, the exploded ship. And it ended with Thanos throwing the moon and people just lost their minds. So you can never know what to expect. And even the actors were surprised. So you can never know what to expect at this. It could be something very small, or they could just blow us away with something completely different. So I'm really excited about it.
It's definitely one of the advantages to this being a Disney convention as opposed to like San Diego Comic-Con, which is just a melting pot of everything. It's great to come to and just express your fandom for this one fan base in this one place with like-minded people.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people actually like the line waiting. Some people that I talked to were like, I look forward to overnight lines because I meet people that I stay friends with for years down the road. And I've definitely made some friends that I've kept in contact with. But whatever your niche, we talked about Disney Ducks earlier, 90s cartoons. I mean, everything's so niche, and people are like, oh, yeah, I could find someone that is into the same crazy stuff that I'm into.
You definitely go and find your tribe and get to hang out with your tribe once a year.
Yeah. I'm kind of an Imagineering geek, so anything having to do with Imagineering, I really latch on to. So right now, do you guys have specific tribes?
You and I would have long conversations because I'm like an Imagineering type of. I can't actually wait for the documentary series for the Imagineering on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I remember that in the 90s when that first the Walt Disney Imagineering book came out, and I just read that cover to cover, and that actually got me into Disney. I liked the movies, but not until I saw the magic behind the screens did I fall in love with Disney. So Imagineering has a special place in my heart.
And that's why, too, that for parks and resorts, as far as the panel goes at the expo, it's one of my favorite ones. Because it's not only just announcing what's coming in the future for the parks, but it's the Imagineers that are presenting it. to us.
Yeah, at the last Parks and Resorts panel, I mean, you had Scott Trowbridge talk mainly about Galaxy's Edge, but yeah, you definitely had a lot of Imagineers, and actually on the show floor even talk about the model and kind of how they do things. They couldn't answer a lot of questions, but they talked about the ride vehicles, how they designed it, and that's all completely fascinating. I think at the last, you talked about the last Parks and Resorts panel, they gave us passes to see Fantasmic a day before it officially opened. So I don't quote me on this, but like I think they're gonna have to do something like that, similar to like maybe perhaps Rise of the Resistance. I don't know. I'm just speculating
actually,
here.
that was my speculation, that if they weren't going to have Rise of the Resistance when it in May, I thought for sure that whoever attended the parks panel would get access the night before to go in and experience it, because I think more. I mean, I'm excited for Smuggler's Run. Don't get me wrong, but in comparison to the two, I was really looking forward to Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Well, and even if the ride's not ready to ride yet, I would just love to walk around it and see those giant AT-ATs and the rest of the sets.
Oh, yeah. A couple people have actually seen the queue, seen the large 100-foot whatever screen with the stormtroopers in front, and looking out into space. And it's just, why would they do that to us and make us wait another like 6 months? But I think, yeah, it's logistically it works, where they, at the Parks and Resorts, they give you a pass. If you have a Disneyland ticket, you can enter. If not, you get discounted Disneyland Park Resorts tickets on the show floor. I think it's like 20 or 30% off for the evening. But yeah, you could take that pass. You have specific times allotted where you can actually enter the attraction. For Fantasmic, what it was is you got like almost like a boarding group kind of thing, where like you're slotted between for the 9 a.m. show, and seeing how this is working for Galaxy's Edge in general, where they give you time slots, it would be really easy to say, hey, you could go on Rise of the Resistance at like such and such a time, in this time frame. And plus, I was reading somewhere where like the permits that they filed for Galaxy's Edge in California expire in sometime in September. I don't know if that means a lot, but in construction terms, that means like they expect to be completed by September. So who knows? By late August, we could really very well see Rise of Resistance open.
I remember when Toontown opened in '93, they didn't open Cartoon Spin for another year, even though it was sitting behind closed doors ready to go.
Yeah.
Just because they wanted an attraction for the next year.
Yeah. It's such a like, and it's brilliant. I mean, there's people speculate, oh yeah, they're probably already done. They just want to kind of get the next wave really ramped up for it, which wouldn't surprise me.
Right. It's just a big tease to bring you back.
Right. And it's working, right? I mean, we will be back.
So. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
On your channel are the Legends ceremony, Parks and Resorts, animation, and live action.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your suggestion, like, for if a person wanted to try to get into one of them, what would be your step for step from beginning to end to be able to enter into the arena for a higher chance at getting a seat? Because passengers, just so you know, if you are attending the expo, don't go with the assumption that you're going to see everything, because there's no way that you can.
Right. And George, I love this question. It's kind of the $1 million question. Like, give me exactly where to be to attend Legends, animation, live action, and Parks and Resorts in that order, pretty much, right? So I'll give you one caveat and just say this right off the bat. These aren't the only panels. These are just the most popular ones. The Legends is like the opening ceremonies where the big stars come and kind of introduce where where Disney has been the past year and where it's going. And they say that Friday, so Friday is actually the Legends panel, but they say that you could start lining up at 10 p.m. the night before in Hall E in Holly, which is the underground, at 10 p.m. the night before. In practice, people start actually lining up around 7 a.m. the day before. So there are people sitting out in the sun, in the hot Anaheim sun, in 7 a.m. on Thursday, waiting for them to open up the doors to Hall E, to underground. At 10 a.m., at 10 p.m., they open the doors and they split off the line to Legends and the show floor, which includes merchandise. Now, you don't have to be there overnight for the Legends panel. And I don't recommend you do it because I recommend, if you want to attend the Legends panel specifically, which starts at 10:30 at 10 a.m. on Friday, you don't have to be there until around 7 a.m. Like 7 a.m. is a good cutoff because 7 a.m. is when they close Hall E and they divert the line completely outside of Hall E. They close Hall E. So I just say get there before 7 a.m. and you should be fine for Legends. The next question is, after Legends, can I make it to animation? That's the next big question. The way you do that is you try to position yourself in the Legends panel in sections A or B. Sections A or B are closest to the exit to give you the best access back to Hall E for animation panel. Animation panel had a big kerfuffle in 2017 because a huge mass of people broke into the line unbeknownst to the cast members. The cast members blamed it on themselves, but it wasn't their fault. I actually videotaped them, this huge wave of people just crashing the barrier and making the count just completely obsolete. So this year they're going to make it very organized. So what that means is if you want to make the animation panel after the Legends, you really got to gun it to get in line before 11 a.m. or try to be in there before 11 a.m., which gives you very little time by the end of Legends to the next one. So I say, if you really want to be in the animation panel, just skip the Legends. Don't even risk it. If you want to try for all of them, you can, and it has been successful, but you can do it. For the live action, what you need to do is you need to be in Hall E at least before 4 a.m. in Hall E. If you're there after 4 a.m., you're not going to get in. So live action is going to be the most popular panel, bar none, and it always has been. And the reason why it's the most popular is because they don't allow any phones, they don't allow any video recording, they're not going to live stream it, and they're not going to repeat any of the footage at any time, even through the opening of the movie. Like we saw things with regard to Wreck-It Ralph in live in live action and animation with regards to Wreck-It Ralph and Infinity War and Lion King that we still have not seen. It's just things that were work in progress. Because of that, they don't allow any cameras, and once that panel hits, you're not going to see it again. So it's like either you're in the room or you're not. If you missed out, it sucks. But so that live action is really popular, and you definitely got to be in there before 4 a.m. at least in 2017. Now for the next panel, Parks and Resorts, it's not that difficult to get into because people are pretty beat. But considering that Rise of the Resistance and Star Wars Land that we talked about earlier, it might be a little bit more popular. But usually if you're in there by 12 noon, then you should be able to get into the 3:30 p.m. Parks and Resorts panel.
Wow, so line up 3.5 hours before the panel.
Yep, for Parks and Resorts.
So you want to make sure that you're already in line by noon.
Yes, okay. For sure. Now, they're going to do a lot of surprises. Like every now and then, they'll do an unveiling of something. Last time, it was unveiling of Star Wars Land. And they do that as kind of a press event, maybe 2 days before the actual live action or the Parks and Resorts panel. So as part of a press event, I assume that they're going to unveil maybe a model, something on the show floor with regards to Marvel Land. And to get people excited, that'll generate excitement for the Parks and Resorts panel, which of course people may line up earlier, but it's really difficult to gauge how busy it's going to be. But based on historical, 12 p.m., 12 noon is really good. Now, what's really funny is when you're in the D23 Expo, say on Friday, you'll see people start to generate lines in front of Hall E that afternoon for Saturday. And you're going to ask yourself, what is this line for? And they're going to tell you, oh, we're lined up for panels for Saturday. We're lined up for merchandise on Saturday, autographs on Saturday. And it's like, you're basically foregoing a whole day of expo just to be in the live action panel. And that's how important it is to some people. They want to sacrifice a whole day of expo just to do something on that Saturday day. So if there's a day you're going to attend, definitely go on Saturday where there's a Parks and Resorts and a live action panel.
That's the one day I am going.
Very good. Nice. Now, Jay, do you have any specific things that you absolutely have to see?
I actually wanted to ask you about that because I really don't have anything I want to see. I'm just kind of going to hang out with friends and shop.
Yeah.
Is there anything I should be doing on Saturday?
Well, if it's only one day and you kind of want to just get the feel of everything, I wouldn't go all crazy. My whole spiel in all my videos is just choose one or two things that you absolutely have to do. If it's shopping and you need to get into the Disney store, if you're a collector of specifically things that get released at Disney store, like dolls and that kind of thing, or limited edition, Star Wars action figures, then you need to be pretty early for that. If you're someone that absolutely needs to get a Marvel autograph, then likewise, you need to be like a little bit overnight. If you want to just get the feel of it and just wander and just hang out with friends, then just come after around, say, 12 noon. Don't even compete with all the shoppers and I hate to say, a lot of resellers. Just come in the afternoon because there aren't going to be any lines, and you can just wander freely. Get a stage pass for an afternoon panel, like an Imagineering or some kind of a smaller panel, and you could just go and just walk in. It's a lot easier and a lot more relaxed that way. It feels like a lot of people say, "Oh, I have to wait overnight." You don't have to. There are only 4 types of people that really need to wait overnight. It's people looking for a Marvel autograph, people looking for a Disney collector's doll, people that need to get into the live action panel, and people that are trying to do more than one thing, shop and a panel. So unless you fall under the 4 categories, don't wait overnight. Just enjoy the expo for what it's meant to be, which is to get people excited about what's to come.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Because, I just want to come hang out and have a good time with friends.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, that's the best thing about the expo. Like, that's the most memorable part. Like, hanging out, meeting new people, saying, "Oh my God, where'd you make your costume?" "Oh yeah," and just kind of connecting people in that way. So.
Okay, so we are all going in costume. Any advice for going in costume to D23?
Well, first of all, are any of you guys actually attending Masquerade, the costume competition, by any chance?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, well, you would know. I mean, basically, anyone that's as a part of the Masquerade competition has to commit an entire day spending their time in like a screen room waiting to go on stage. But unless you are not doing that, you could go as whatever you want. It's not a theme park experience where you have to be in a Disney bounding. You could be in anything. You could be in a Kylo Ren costume and impersonate a stormtrooper. You could do whatever you want. Of course, everything has to be family friendly. You can't bring any weapons officially. You can't bring any. I wouldn't bring in any blasters just to be safe. They say lightsabers are permitted, but nothing that resemble knives. Like, don't go as Gamora with a huge machete or anything like that. And of course, not anything that's too risque. But on the same token, I've seen some pretty risque stuff at the expo, which I'm like, how do they let you in? But just to be safe, it's a family-friendly environment, so no assless chaps or anything like that.
George, I'm gonna have to hold you to that. We're going to our show personas. George is coming in a Tower of Terror bellhop uniform. I'm coming as a Jungle Cruise skipper. So I might have a whip with me if they let me in with it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about a whip. I'd have to check. D23 has a guest relations email, so I think it's oh gosh, I wish I had the email on hand here, but they have a guest relations email. You can actually email them and just try to make sure, can I bring a whip? And they'll get back to you right away. And the guest service team at D23 is so amazing, and they're surprisingly really personable. The exact email is guestrelations@d23.com. So with questions like that, I would just say, you know, when people ask me things like that, or when people say, hey, I just got a gold membership, but I already bought my tickets, can I get a discount after the fact? I just give them the guestrelations@d23.com email and just say, if you want to be absolutely sure, just email them directly. But as far as my recommendations for costumes, my only thing is, does your costume allow for comfortable shoes? That's my main thing. If it allows for comfortable shoes, because you're going to walk at least 11 miles in total, just walking the show floor, because it's huge, and you don't want to be caught like with sore feet. A lot of people get really super tired. It's not like walking in the theme parks where there's a lot of places to sit. You're standing in line a lot, so allow yourself for really comfortable shoes. Also know that Hall E is really cold. It's like 30 degrees in there. So if you're going to be waiting in those lines, you want to have some costume that allows for a jacket or some sort to be warm. On the same token, outside, it's like 80 to 90 degrees. So there's a huge fluctuation in weather that you want your costume to make allowances for.
So I'll be spending a lot of time outside in my khakis and shorts.
Jungle Cruise, Skipper. Nice.
Yep.
Speaking of the Jungle Cruise, I expect The Rock to make an appearance at this expo to promote his next Jungle Cruise movie.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Did kind of going back a little bit, when you said line up for the Parks and Resorts panel, either a little before 12 or be in line by 12, is that in Hall E?
That's definitely in Hall E, yes. So like I said before, anything that's coming up for the big Hall D23 sessions, Hall E is just for Hall D23 sessions or the overnight lines for the show floor. If it's any other line for any other panels, then the lines usually are in other corresponding areas, closer to actually where the event takes place. But so after you get out of the live action panel, just go directly to Hall E. Now, there are no stage passes for Hall D23 presentations. A lot of people say, oh, well, I'll just get a stage pass for Parks and Resorts. No, you can't. It's only for the smaller panels. And the other thing is, oh, can I squat? Can I just sit in a panel and just wait for the next one like they do at Comic-Con? They clear out rooms for the next panel. They do this for security, but they also just want to make sure that they get everything organized and everyone has a viable shot. And in Parks and Resorts, they will allow video cameras. So that's another good thing.
Now, as far as like the stage pass and the store passes go, as you mentioned earlier, are they officially going digital, like with the D23 Expo app, or do you still have to go onto the show floor and physically get?
It hasn't been made official yet, but Michael Vargo mentioned it at one of his press events at Destination D last year. He mentioned specifically that we're looking at options that could be either digital in nature or something online. So, and more to come on that. So that I'm just going off of what he said. And it makes sense be looking at this recent Star Wars celebration. Virtual queuing worked. The lottery system didn't, but virtual queuing worked. And they're also doing virtual queuing for boarding passes at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for this coming June. So all signs point to that, but it could be wrong. What I would love is some kind of RFID chip attached to your badge. I mean, in my dream world, your badge would be like your pass to get into your, not only to be your ID to get into the show floor, but also it'll read your fast pass times, your show pass times, your stage pass times, what times you can get into the shopping. Like for shopping, they give you a 30-minute time window that you can go specifically during the day where you don't have to wait in line. That's so great. So a lot of people that don't want to wait in the Disney store line for 5 hours, they'll just get a store pass to get into the Disney store. And I think that would be great if that would all be collected in one place on some kind of RFID chip.
Can you see magic bands just for conventions coming?
No, I think magic bands. I think magic bands for California, for some reason, aren't gonna take as much hold as they do say in Florida. I don't know why that is, to be honest with you. But for the people I talked to, for the customer shop, the expense of magic bands to roll them out to get the whole infrastructure in there just is a little bit more cost prohibitive. I mean, I don't know if they really make a profit on magic bands, to be honest with you, but that I could be wrong. They might incorporate that, but I think for this expo, definitely it would not happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on, and I'm a huge fan of yours. Like as I said, I've been to the expo, the first two expos before, but like with everything growing and expectations for what to expect at the expo and everything. And I literally, your YouTube channel is my go-to every single time.
Thanks, George. Yeah. I mean, I just try to do what I can. If you found it helpful, that really means a lot to me. And like I tell people, just ask me any question. I'm on Twitter, at Christian D. Milan. If you want to message me that way, or if you want to publicly ask me a question on my YouTube channel, I answer all the questions. So if, and I'll tell you what the best of my knowledge is. If it's in my opinion, I'll preface it by saying, in my opinion, this is how it's going to be, or based on previous, events, this is how it's going to be. But I just want to make sure that everyone has a good experience, because the worst thing you could do is come in there and be surprised. And it doesn't make for a good time for anybody.
Definitely.
So we're going to have to hang out with you at D23 event, Christian.
For sure. I'll be the dork with the Indiana Jones hat. You can find me just wearing that. I might have a whip. I might have to steal your idea.
All right, so you'll be Indiana Jones. I'll be a jungle skipper. We'll both have whips. We'll be two peas in a pod that day.
And with you both having whips, I'll definitely make sure that I will have a full set of pants on. So
just to be safe.
It is your birthday, George, so
Very cool. No, definitely find me there. Do you guys have your hotels? Are you guys doing any meetups maybe or anything like that?
George has a hotel. The rest of us were renting a house together right behind the convention center.
That's smart. That's really smart. Actually.
So party at the Grand Circle Tour.
Yeah. Very cool. A lot of people are doing that. Like they're saying, hey, let's all get together at like say the Marriott lobby at like 7 p.m. or at whatever. So I don't know. I'll look out for what you guys do regarding kind of meetups or anything kind of fan events.
Probably as it gets closer, like we could make a meetup and then let some people know, and then we could all meet up.
That would be cool. I'd be there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jigs 123, you owe me a Coke.
Yeah. So going forward, they're going to talk about, they're going to release more information. Maybe we can get back together and talk about specifics of the panel as they announce it, because they're going to release a schedule later, right, George?
Yes. And actually that was what I was going to say, that definitely we want you back on, that when the schedule is fully released, we would love to have you back on so we could discuss more in depth of what we really could expect after, all the announcements and everything.
Oh, definitely. I'll be there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
Cool. I'd love to be back.
Perfect. Well,
and by then we'll have no more about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We'll be able to commiserate about the experiences from that and like the opening weekend and all that good stuff too. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, passengers, we thank you for joining us, and hopefully all this info will help you on your D23 Expo experience. And if you happen to see any of us out there, stop by, say hello. We love to mix and mingle with the Disney folks.
Say what's up and get a button.
Yeah. So on that, passengers, remember, it's never a good day unless it's a Disney day. Take care.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.